comes to being a real estate agent, every day I am going to be lead generating as an agent. If I'm not lead generating, I don't have any business. If you're not lead generating to the people that you already know, they're not going to know that you're a real estate agent. It is painful to be talking to someone and find out that 2 months ago, if you've been, let's say you've been an agent for 6 months, and you then talk to someone that you went to high school with, or a friend that you just haven't connected with in the last couple of months, because that'll happen. And they say, oh yeah, that's awesome. I just bought a house, last week. And you're like, great, if I would have made this phone call 2 months ago, I could have very well helped them purchase a home. Because it will also happen that they say, yeah, it was, somebody, I just walked into an open house, and you're like, oh, that's even more painful. It's not so bad when they say, oh, my cousin is a real estate agent. They're like, okay, well, blood, I can get that. But when they say, yeah, I wanted to, and they're so excited, they're more than happy to tell you how great it was that they didn't use you. Not in a bad way, but they're like, yeah, and she was so nice and she was amazing. I just, good luck to you. It's like, well, you just told me how amazing this person is, so how am I going to compete with that? Those are the kinds of things that can happen. And yeah, you still can also win people over that they use someone else. One of the days at the open houses, there was someone that's like, yeah, we're not using that person. They were flat out, whoever it was that they had just used, whatever it was, I forget. They're like, yeah, we're not using that person. So don't know what happened, and yet move on. They're not using them. So lead generating, making seller listing presentations and getting listings. Please, as this time goes on, the most important thing is lead generating. Second thing is to be lead follow-up. So that means lead generating. We did an open house yesterday. The lead follow-up is now, so for you guys, when you do your open house, is then to what kind of communication are you sending out to them? How are you getting in contact with them? So my recommendation is the day of the open house, send out, if nothing else, an email. I'm a fan of looking them up on social media and seeing if you can connect with them without being creepy. You hear me say that a lot. Please don't be creepy. And you kind of have to figure out what that line is. Just have to figure out what that line is. We all have different ways of approaching things. And then so that's the lead follow-up. So an email is sent, and then of course there's drip campaigns and consistent follow-up. So we'll go through a lot of that as time goes on. And then there is the going on presentations or showing homes, or creating and practicing those presentations and showing homes. So those are the three things that we do. We lead generate, we lead follow up, and then we practice or go on presentations or appointments. So practicing those as time goes on. So whether you put on your calendar like next week to start doing that, or over the weekend start looking at that, we have the things in the system to start working on getting those things together. Buyer presentations, previewing real estate. Go to open houses over the weekend. If you're not doing an open house, go to an open house. Also, if you are able to go to a home that is vacant, the home that we did the open house at was vacant. There are other houses that are vacant that you can just make an appointment, and they use the term like go and show, where you set an appointment and go and see it. If it looks like it's vacant, or if it says in the appointments, which is in the bottom of the listing, if it says something like go and show, then you could make an appointment. Just let them know. I would send a note to the agent when you're making that appointment and let them know I'm previewing this home. If you want to be adding to your social media, the other thing, go and take pictures at the home. One of you said you did, that you took pictures. Yep, Jolene also took pictures. I did not take pictures, and I should have, so I'm going to see if I can stop by there on my way home. You did too? Yeah. Perfect. Did you take pictures? So see if you can make an appointment and go and take some pictures to it. It's okay to say, great open house over the weekend. It's already sold. You can do any of those kind of things. So I apologize for not reminding you, because I should have done that.
I think I put on Facebook, enjoying my day at this lovely open house.
See,
would love to help you sell your house or find your property.
Lovely.
Picture next to it.
And I could see that's a natural way for you to say something anyway.
Yeah.
Please be yourself. And you can get ideas from other people and yet turn it into what is something that you love. I know some people love the idea, especially at that type of a home where it had so much foliage and just, just that peaceful, in my opinion, it was just like a very peaceful backyard or something like that. If that's who you are, then that's something that you can add to. If you're the kitchen thing, I'm all about that large,
Beautiful picture.
I know, and having that marble,
For sure.
yeah, not marble, but having that granite slab that I could make cookies on, it's just, that's all that my mind goes to, because that's what my life has always been
Especially
as
if
a
it was
kid.
around Christmas,
Mhm.
you could take a picture of that kitchen and just be like, Christmas cookie season
I
is
know.
coming up. Do you need a bigger fence?
See?
Yeah.
All of those types of things. So it's tweaking it and figuring out what's yours, but you need to remind people that you're a real estate agent. And then, of course, there's the running the business. So I'm saying these over and over again because I want you to know this is what your job is. I'm not making this stuff up. I'm really not. If you're not doing these things, especially the growing the business on a daily basis, then on that day, that's your day off. How many days off do you have, or how much time do you have off is going to dictate what you're making. So if you're not doing those things, then that's what's going to show up. And then, of course, the running of the business is the marketing, seller listings. So we have the ability to market other people's listings. What she did with the open house and saying things like that, that is marketing a seller's, another listing. It's not hers. And yet they don't necessarily know that. It just shows up as you're a busy real estate agent without being too much about me.
Is there certain words you're not supposed to, that's the webinar I listened to this morning, that's his big thing, is market other people's stuff.
Yeah.
Is there a certain verbiage that we are supposed to stay away from, like we can't?
Well, anything that gives,
An impression that it's our house, our listing?
well, there can be subtleties that make it seem like it's yours, and yet blatantly saying that it's yours, you can't do anything like that. And then, of course, any of the words that we're not supposed to use, you can't use, when you took your class to become a real estate agent, you're not supposed to have anything about discriminatory of any kind.
Oh,
Use those guidelines. But as far as marketing somebody else's listings, it's just about, this my new listing. Because you're part of our office, our new listing. So
Or
anytime
new
that you see
just look at this new
listing, that one too.
Yeah,
It's just, it can't be me, unless it's yours.
and we can put the pictures because they're part of domain, because
It
they're,
depends on how you do it. You can't take the pictures off of online and then post them like your own. You can utilize our system, and IDX will allow you to do this to a degree, where you can share a link in certain ways, and you have to build it properly, but you're able to then share a link with this new listing. So where if they click on it, they're going to your stuff, because you don't want to be sending them to Zillow or Realtor.com or another agent's. That just kills me. I see it all the time. So please, marketing 101, please make sure any clickable links you use anywhere. I said anywhere, that it only goes to your stuff. Do not advertise Zillow, because on the side of Zillow, it has like 4 other agents, and they're not going to be you unless you're paying for it. I see that, and I'm like, oh, great. And everybody's like, oh, great house. I just saw the pictures, all this. I'm like, oh, it's painful. But if they're with another company, to be honest, I'm not going to say anything. So what are we focusing on today? All of the things that are in red, lead generating. So these are conversations: lead generating, seller listings, buyer listings, previewing real estate, showing houses, negotiating contract and transaction management. That's because it's all about the conversations that we're having, and how can we do those to actually gain knowledge about our clients or potential clients. So the scripts that we use, and please, I'm going to use the word script because this is what we need to know. If you've had any other job, and all of us in this room have had other jobs, and Maddie, do you mind if I say a little bit about what you used to do? Okay. So Maddie created a whole business, and you did that probably from having conversations with people, whether it was virtually, in person, or online, and you were saying the same thing to a lot of other people. 2? Only 2? They only have 2 active 2 active offers.
That's work today, you know how people are, they wait till like, if they're like my
thought
clients,
there
they'll
were
wait till
5 on
6:59 to send their contract in.
I thought somebody said 5 on Saturday, by Saturday.
She had, it might have been showing requests, I don't know.
Oh, okay, I apologize. Okay, so 2. Is one of them Jeff's?
I
Oh,
don't
you
know.
didn't see them, you
Yeah,
just know it's 2.
yeah.
Okay, and you got my follow-up with
I
email.
did, thank you.
Okay, okay, cool. So you knew that you had to say something to sell yourself and what you were selling. And so you said the same kind of thing over and over again. Well, that's a script. We sometimes think of the word script as, I don't want to sound scripted. Okay, well, the only reason you're going to sound scripted if you don't know how to sell real estate, or if you're newer and you've never done this before, the only way that you're going to learn what to say when you're faced with a buyer or a seller is by learning what to say, which is basically a script. So
I found that any kind of script, I always taught people to internalize the script so they can make it their own.
correct, exactly. But you had the script to start with.
You
You gotta know what to say, and then it becomes yours.
If you read the script, you sound like a census taker.
Mhm.
So you have to internalize it and make it conversational and practice it.
So those of you that were with me, sorry Hilton, you weren't with me on Saturday or Sunday at the open house. You probably heard me say a lot, was, do you know anything about Mill Creek? Did you hear me say that?
Yeah.
You probably did. Everything that I said with, except for the specific things about Mill Creek, was basically a script. It was because I was just filling in the Mill Creek stuff. So that line, do you know anything about this area? Do you know anything about Mill Creek? Like, well, let me give you a little bit about it. Is this kind of a neighborhood? Is this type of houses? All of that. It was a script. I was just filling in the little pieces. And I've done that long enough that I was saying the same thing, but they were things that I had learned as a type of script. And therefore I had internalized it enough that it was just a conversation as far as they were concerned. What I was also doing with that is I was picking up what they liked or didn't like, whether they would tell me, yes, I like that, or they would give me body language. So I don't know if you were picking up on people's body language with anyone at all, but there were people, so I don't know if anybody saw me do this. There were times that I would back up to see if they would actually follow me. I don't know if anybody sees or if you know anything about that. So if somebody is interested in the conversation, they will follow you. So there were many times, I can't say that I did this every single time, but there were many times that I was trying to judge on whether or not that they were interested in the conversation. And I did a little bit of backing up and said, well, why don't you go and take a look over there? And says, or do you have any other questions? So they had a choice to either go away from me or they came towards me. But from a sales technique, I was seeing, do they want to hang out or do they want to go and get away from me? And for the most part, people would have one more possible question, or they would slowly move away, which was telling me, okay, I'm not too, because I'll be honest, I know that I'm a little, I'm not a timid individual. And I was just trying to see like how engaged are they with me. This is the way that I've done it, and I've watched other people and learned from that. You're going to learn some of that, but body language is going to be big to go along with the scripts. Please do not be the one that they're walking away and you're like, hello, hi, how you doing? Make sure you say that. That's not, most of the time it's not going to work. And sometimes we do that because we're like, oh, am I servicing them properly, or taking care of the property too? So you do have to be careful. And sometimes if you are needing to follow them because there's a lot of breakables or all of these types of things, fragile items or things that you just want to make sure you're monitoring, you may just need to come be upfront with them and let them know. It's like, the seller has asked that I make sure that I actually give a tour to every person. And so I am going to be, over here, and I don't want you to feel like I'm just following you around. They just asked to make sure that I really monitor anyone who's in the home. And that typically would work because you're explaining yourself. It's like, I don't want you to feel like I'm following you around. That type of thing. So the big picture is that we're going to lead, the scripts are for lead generating, uncovering motivation, identifying objections, closing the deal, speaking in terms the customer understands, and building confidence. So I hope, and we all had conversations with people. I don't think that any of us had conversations that were inappropriate or didn't, that pushed people away, aside from, I'm well aware, didn't like me, I'm good with that. But for the most part, that's what we're trying to do, is like to see, is this person an actual buyer or seller, and how can we help them? So that's what we're gonna make sure that we go ahead and take care of. So the purpose, so understanding the scripts, purpose part. Did you find everything that you were looking for? Go ahead, look around, and please let me know if I can help. All of these words were pretty much said. I see you admiring that blank. Pool. A lot of people like the pool. Some people like the swing. Okay, you could get a swing with a house. I mean, you're buying a house for a swing. Okay, however, kitchens, that was a big one for that particular house. The kitchen was quite nice. Are you looking to, do you cook? Do you have big get-togethers? Do you like to have big parties or any of that type of thing? That type of kitchen would make sense. So find some things in the house that they like. Garage was a big one for that one. So we gotta get some motivation. Find their motivation. So here's something for us to consider. And I don't know if you're thinking this or not, but many of us when we're new are going to think of things like, why would they work with us? I'm new. I don't know anything. I'm new to the area. I've never done this before. How am I going to help them? I don't even know what they're talking about. They asked a question. I have no idea. I still do not know what the stove is. Forgot to ask. I didn't write that down.
Inductive.
Dustin, was it Dustin? Dustin?
Inductive?
Oh,
Is that
induction.
what
Induction,
Yeah, whether or not it was induction. I'm trying to think of the guy's name. I want to say Howard.
He
There's
wasn't
always a
buyer.
character
He was
that is
just-
like
yeah.
at an open house.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Susie, I
Uh-huh.
thought that inside my head, just being a new agent, like, what is gonna make them want to list their house with me if I'm brand new,
Yeah.
you know?
So
There's a way to tell if it's induction. Turn it on, put your hand over it. If it doesn't feel hot, it's induction.
I know, I was pretty sure that it was induction. Well, yes, that's what I kind of thought. I've never had one and I've only seen like a few of them. So like my gut was telling me that and it told me that it was. So thank you. See, where were you? Where
Sorry.
were you on Sunday?
I don't think he really wanted to know.
No, he was
playing
just,
with
yeah.
us. Yeah.
He
one of
was.
those-
He was looking for
He was
questions
a-
to see how we
he
could
was a
stump
friend.
us.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah,
he was
definitely.
A jokester kind of person.
Oh, he definitely was.
He liked to show his knowledge.
He wanted to make sure that
Yeah.
everybody knew that he was very smart.
Knowledgeable. Yeah.
Yeah, and knowledgeable
He
and
knew.
things like that. I actually still, from a personality perspective, I thought
I
it was
like
fun.
him.
I know,
No,
I
I
like
like
him.
If he was so smart, he would have known.
Well,
He did know. That's what
You
I'm
didn't know?
saying.
Oh.
It didn't matter.
Yeah. and to that point though, I was well aware that I was not 100% sure.
Yeah.
So I wasn't going to say that, and so yes, it's like I kind of knew that, but
Yeah.
I'm like, I've never had one, I've never used one, so what if it's one that doesn't work that way?
Yeah.
Who knows? So I'm a fan if especially something like that, and honestly, I come from a family of bakers, so there's a lot of things that I know about a kitchen. I know brands of ovens and probably more than I will ever utilize, but that one I didn't know. So I'm not gonna step up and do that. There are other things that I may be able to talk about the subject in general enough, and yet if they start asking details, it's like, I'm really just gonna have to find that out for you. So that's going to happen. It happened to me. Not that that was a big one, honestly.
Was he a buyer or an agent or?
No.
Oh, no, he just likes to kill deals for the agent and
Yeah.
his
Who was
friend.
he with?
He was a
He was
pest.
Oh.
He was that
He was.
friend that you bring
But
along.
did he come
The
with, he
agent-
came with the couple of the agents that were married?
He came with the agents that were married, and he had there was a woman, long black
So
hair.
he was bringing her to.
He's friends with her, and the agent is working for the woman with the long,
Okay.
dark, black hair. But he said, the agent said, the agent's name is Jeff, California, said how he just kills deals. He was like, there's been 5 houses that she should have bought, and he goes in and tells her why she shouldn't buy it. I'm like, I'm sorry. He was like, I know, I just told him he needs to stop. So, but Jeff he seems to be a pretty decent agent, so I feel like Jeff is having conversations with the guy. It's like, you just need to stop. Please stop. Please stop doing this. So let's talk a little bit about, you guys do have, and I know that we're all fixated on the papers. There is stuff in here, but let's just make it more of, it's more about the conversation. This is a supplement to the class. So when you are new, or if you're at the type of home, because this could happen to me as an agent, been in the business for a long time, you sometimes are at a home that's like, I've never been into a home like this. I don't know a lot about this type of home. I don't know a lot about selling a house that's on a canal. I don't. I've been around canals. I grew up in Miami and we had lots of canals. So I know a good bit about it, but I don't know a lot. So if somebody started asking questions about that home and the dock or different things, I would probably have to have them have a conversation with somebody that knew. And that's okay. And say, you know what, I'm happy to answer questions when it comes to the house, but when we get to the dock, I'm gonna need you, I have someone that you can talk to. And in my world, that would be, our broker happens to be a boater and knows a lot about that type of thing. So I would probably say, you know what, can you do a 5-minute conversation with this person just to answer those types of questions? Or possibly if I was able to do them as, you know, what are the questions I can get answers to them? And I might send them an email over the weekend, something like that, and say, I will be sure to get back to you blank. The listing agent may be able to give that information to you as well. So just know you're not alone. There's plenty of people in here that have sold just about every type of property. And if you are doing an open house or you get a listing or you're talking to a seller and that seller has a type of property that you're like, oh my gosh, I know nothing about that. It might be like a condo by the beach. You've never lived in a condo or you don't know a lot about that. That is okay. We will find someone to be either your sidekick or to be behind you to make sure that everything is done properly. And we can do it a few different ways. And then sometimes it's a matter of, let's say it's a little further away and you're like, I just don't know, I'd rather refer it. And that's going to be up to you to make that decision. We can help you find somebody that, in that case, if it makes more sense for you to refer it to someone, that's okay too. We don't want you to be in a position that you lose a client and then someone else is building a relationship with someone just because you don't know a lot about that particular thing, whatever it is. I suggest thinking of it, you have a huge team of people. They're your team. So you can still be a point person for people in many cases to where you're having the other stuff done just in the background and they're seeing you shine. And that's okay. Comes to the paperwork. If you were to meet somebody tonight and show them a house tonight and then need to put in an offer and you don't know a lot about doing that contract, you can say things like, it's like, you know, we have somebody in the office that's going to make sure that we get the paperwork all filled out. So let me get in contact with them and we'll just connect you guys and make sure that we get that contract in tonight. They don't really care most of the time, as long as they're being taken care of. And you can lean on from a paperwork perspective. You can lean on, we have an assistant that will, I don't care what you call me assistant, call me paperwork. I don't care. I just want you to have a contract. And then you show up.
They just know everything's getting.
They just know it's being taken care of. Yeah, exactly. I mean, your person didn't know that you were, I'm thinking, that they didn't know that you didn't do the whole thing, or maybe you had a little bit of help. I don't know how much you knew.
Yeah.
I don't know if you really cared.
I made it sound like I've showed a lot of houses. So he didn't.
See?
Yeah, because he was like talking about the light fixture. I'm like, oh, I see that all the time. It's like I see ones like that all the time. They're so common. But yeah, and I was like, oh, I have agents at the office that can help me, you know, be able to work together and stuff. So I just.
And he probably, he was like, okay.
Yeah, so he knows I knew, but I made it sound like more than 2 weeks.
More than first house.
Yeah.
Well, now you've been into 2 houses, right? Okay, so it's all getting better. You've shown a condo and you've been in a single family home. So we're halfway there. So the scripts are going to build confidence for you because the more that you practice or the more that you have conversations with that buyer or seller, going and doing open houses, one of the best ways for you to do it, because most of the time you're gonna have conversations with 5 or more people. And that practice is invaluable because we don't tend to, even if we were making phone calls all day long, which isn't exactly very much fun, we're making phone calls all day long, having 15-minute conversations with people in one day, I mean, that's like a rock star day for a top agent, to have 5 conversations with people. So open houses are one of the things to please continue to be looking for and doing, because you will have more opportunities to have those conversations. And most likely, and tell me how you feel about this now that you've seen it done, if somebody walks through the door, feel pretty comfortable about, hey, do you have any questions about the house? Probably, right? I mean, that you're okay with. Well, yay, see, not new with that anymore. You've done that.
Yeah, I feel comfortable, and I feel comfortable knowing where, like I would do, because I was going just to shadow.
Yeah,
I didn't do my research. I would do my research
please do your research.
and have everything right.
Yeah.
So I feel comfortable where to find the research now and stuff, because you showed us how to do that, so.
Yeah, know where that is. And I still, and you probably saw that, I am not very good with remembering numbers. That is something that I can struggle with, but I had them. So I think, so it was 2551, I think is the square footage. But my brain did not want to save that information. It really
It's
didn't.
52, you said 51.
I said 51, but it's 52, see. Okay, well, that at least was closer.
You were very close.
I was very, very close. If somebody wants to shoot me over 1 square foot on a house, there's bigger issues with that person in there feeling about that house. And yeah, but I know that about myself. So if somebody asks me like that type of thing, it's like, let me just double check. I know it's, and I'm comfortable enough to say, I want to say it's 2,500 square feet, but let me just double check the paper.
I saw you gathering the information, and then I just want to make sure I understand how you use it. People came in without representation, said they weren't working with anybody. They saw the listing on Zillow or wherever. And so they're not working with anybody. They're not particularly interested in that house, but you captured their information. Are you going to contact them to send them some other listings now that you know that they're interested in the area, or that they're interested in a different type of home, or how much information did you really retain, or did you put down in
So
your
I
notes?
use my phone. I don't know if you guys saw me do that. I put a lot of notes in my phone.
Okay.
I was wondering that too.
Yeah, I put a lot of notes in my phone because, and I tell them, let me just make a note of that, because I don't want them thinking I'm texting people while
So
I'm
you
just
asked
walking
them
around.
for their name and their contact.
There were some instances that I got it on
I was
the
gonna say, you
on
got
the
it
computer,
right?
but not everybody. Some of them I would be like upstairs, or I was in, or outside or something. There were a couple of them that I was away from that. I went ahead and got it because I could care less where I get the information from. And I don't want to lose because people will hesitate. They will possibly hesitate if we're having a conversation. Maybe it was a great conversation, but they're at that like cusp of deciding on whether or not they trust me. And if that's the case, to get them to walk from the bathroom, upstairs to downstairs to my sign-in pad or paper, however it is that you do it, I don't want to lose that. Say, well, if it's okay with you, I'm not going to call, if they tell me, but I will ask them again, by the way, say, I'm not going to call and harass you. I'm not going to send you a text message unless you tell me it's okay. And the same thing with an email. But if you'd like to know about blank, and whatever blank is, that's the information that they got. So everybody on Saturday and everybody on Sunday, it was less on Sunday because they were mostly agents. It was like flip-flopped. We had a couple of agents on Saturday. We had mostly agents with them on Sunday. And they're going to get that email in most cases. There were 2 people that are okay with me sending them a text message or a phone call about one particular thing or the other. So they all got their emails, and they got an email. It's like, thank you for coming to the open house. There were a couple of them that they had something specific. It's like, I'll continue to look for blank, the 6-foot pool. That was Saturday. Saturday, yeah. 6
How
or
deep
more
is
for the
that
pool.
Did you find out?
I did not, to be honest.
That's
I'm gonna say a
curious.
6 foot, but that's not a house that they're interested in anyway.
Oh,
Yeah, they're
well,
not
that's right, they
necessarily.
need a bigger house.
That's not their house, so to be honest, I'm moving forward, although it would, I should actually find that out. So, I do have that in my notes, but I wanted to get something out to them, so they all got a communication. And from that, I did have somebody respond back and said, thank you. No one else actually responded back, and that's okay, because I have ways to do other things. There's retargeting that I can do with social media, because I have an email address. If it's a true email address, there's lots of things that I can actually do with their information.
Yeah, I kind of confused two different people there. There was the couple, the woman had the red hair. And then there was the larger family that were gonna look at the house down the street.
They never showed up to that one.
They did not.
Nope.
I guess that happens.
Yeah, they never made a phone call to me or the other agent that had that listing, and they never saw that listing.
Huh, wonder what turned them off on.
I don't know. I mean, maybe they were busy that day and they just didn't make it. I mean, you get the information online.
So one of the,
Oh, sorry.
I think it was the dentist, had asked you for, information on a kitchen person.
Mhm.
Now, is that something that in a month you could say, hey, did you ever connect with?
Well, yeah, because he's gonna be working on my teeth. He's my new
But if he
dentist.
wasn't gonna be working on your teeth,
There would be some way of
you
communicating.
could communicate.
I'm a fan with drop-bys. If I have a business card and they're in our local area, if there is a way that I can drop by to see them, I actually am a fan of that, because it gives you another opportunity. It's very different on a phone call or email or text message.
Mhm.
So if you have the opportunity to do that, you're not gonna have that for everybody. The others, of course, it's your communication. But you need to be giving them something of value. Like, what is valuable to them? The gentleman that wants that was Saturday, the pool? Yes, that was, okay, so there was a guy all about needs to be a 6-foot pool or tall or deeper, because he was more than 6'6".
He was 6 and a lot.
Yeah, he was more than 6'6". Forget what it was. So he was, tall guy, and it's all about the pool. We don't know what it is. Some people are all about something, and you're like, wow,
Now, is that something hard to search for on the MLS?
there is not a search criteria for a
So,
pool
yeah.
that's 6 foot or more, and which I didn't completely know this, but they typically really just don't. Our average pool is only going to go to about 6 feet.
You know why? It's because we live in Florida.
Yeah, it's the ground.
It's the ground will.
It needs to be a
pop the pool
higher-
up.
Oh, that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah,
it's
so
because
to
of
her point, there is some searching that you can do, because you'll know certain areas. Like if you go anywhere and there's nowhere west of 75, that is going to be able to have a deeper pool, because that's lower.
Yeah.
Your sea level, you're closer to sea level.
Pop out your
So it
pool.
needs to be further out. So in general, yes, could I do a little bit of searching? I could, but there were some other things that were that they were.
Or could
They
you
were
actually
interested
tell
in
him
as well.
that?
I'm sorry,
Could you actually just tell him that also?
I did not tell him that, because I didn't think about that when we were talking. We
But
went to,
Yeah. There are
Yeah.
pools out there that you can find one that was grandfathered in, you can find.
Correct.
That
And there
makes
was a
sense
house
with
that
the
they
groundwater being
saw.
so high, that makes sense.
No, 'cause we.
so it's also building costs and things like that. I mean, most people don't really want it or need it to be more than 6. I mean, most of us are not 6'8", I'm gonna
Yeah,
say,
it's
it's
6 and
whatever
a
he
lot,
was. It's
yeah.
6 and a lot. He was a tall guy. So that was for them. Okay, so let's continue. So how is it that we learn how to do our scripts? So we have Hilton on the call. He has been part of script practice before, but no one else has ever been part of script practice. So let me lay it out there on how this can actually be done. The idea is for you to actually be practicing less on the public, more on us. And when I say us, I mean other agents, or at least get comfortable with having real estate conversations. So finding a partner or a group that you can have as a script partner, it is okay. We fumble. If you have most of you have at least met Austin. He has had like in fact, there's a video. Write this down to remember to do this. I will send you guys some videos to follow up with this class to let you know, or for you to see. I think it was Austin, and I want to say it was John Butegard who they did script practice. And I'm not sure if it's on that video, but there are times when he's done like, 15 minutes of this is what script practice looks like. And he's fumbled. He's totally fumbled. In fact, he and Andrew Pepper, which some of you have met Andrew Pepper, they were doing one and he was just like, you know what? I just don't want to work with you. You're just mean. Because he was, coming at him so strong. Now, Austin's been doing this for a long time. Just like if somebody wants to give me a hard time in script practice, I'm okay with that because I've been doing it. It's not going to hurt my feelings. At some point, at a certain point, I am okay with saying, you know what? I do not think I'm the agent for you. And then find or have in your back pocket like an agent that maybe you don't like or something. You need to call Sarah. Tell her I sent you. No, I don't know if I would do that, but it's okay to say that. It is truly okay because there is a lot of business else out there. I also am very understanding of the fact that we still want clients. So sometimes we're going to take a little bit, but those are choices that we all make. And that's going to be up to you on how much you take, but please know there are more clients out there, and the energy that this is my suggestion, the energy that you spend on someone who is not appropriate with you and not professional enough, whatever that threshold is that you have, there's somebody else that's out there. So back to the script practice. So here's what my recommendation is. We as an office will have groups that do script practice. We just had something called BOLD, which was a class that was a 6 weeks class, and a lot of people were part of that script practice. If you would like to, and I'm saying this is up to you, and Hilton, this is for you too, who's on the call. If you would like to be part of that, many of you are in the same kind of boat. So it's okay to practice and have that. It's like, okay, let's do 30 minutes to where I want to have you pretend that you're a buyer, you pretend that you're a seller, an investor, and just practice what those conversations could be like. The rules tend to be, especially when you're newer, is that say no twice. It's like they ask, it's like, I'd love to show you some homes that fit your criteria. Say, no, that's okay, I'm working with someone. Then just keep going, ask again in a different way. And for script practice, it's 2 no's and then a yes. If you are only practicing no's, it's defeating. It's just not good energy for you to be around that for a long period of time. But you need to know going into it that this person is going to tell you no, and just continue the conversation. Now, don't be jerks. It's not anything like that. Please don't be a jerk. However, it's okay to say no. It is okay. And come up with like reasons. It's like, oh, the pool is not 13 feet deep. Like, oh, you're looking for a 13-foot? Yes, I'm looking for a 13-foot. And just to be honest, it's a little bit more fun if you have something that's just a little bit quirky, because then we tend to smile a little bit and it takes away the edge of having it too serious. But it's the same thing. They say the 13-foot pool, and it could be that 5th bedroom. It's just replace it with something like weird. I think that somebody had, I have like 45 pet iguanas or something like weird. Somebody was like, but why not? I mean, to be honest, why not enjoy what you're doing? So the other thing is we have a ton of videos that are out there using our system. I'm going to show you guys one more time on where you can find stuff. So this may be a repeat, but I think it's worth it to give you a little bit of information. So if I were to go to my, still not used to this computer. Okay. In mykw.kw.com, under education, if you go into this section, So you see how it says KW Connect up here and also KW University? They are the same thing. Back a long time ago, it used to be KW Connect, and now we use more of the term KW University. This is where it houses videos, documents, presentations. This class is all right here. Shoot. Sorry, apologize. I snoozed it instead. It was reminding me to do something. So, you know I was gonna do it at least once, right? So with this, I can go here, and so give me a topic. Any topic. I feel like I always use the same topic, so I want something new. Don't be,
Do you have
don't,
something on MLS?
like searching?
Searching MLS.
I don't know if that's gonna be on here. Let's see what comes up. So I'm just typing in the word search. So her question was searching the MLS. Yeah, it tends to be
Searching for contracts is good.
this one.
Yeah.
That's through our system though, as far as like the KW systems and command and things like that. So if I wanted to learn how to do that, it would be on there. I was thinking more, and maybe this would be maybe a little bit. So this is some kind of a video, and I don't know what this is, but it's some kind of a video on how to use our app to search for homes. So it's not necessarily, maybe I should have been a little bit more certain. Give me another topic that I want to have a conversation with someone. What kind of a person would I be having this conversation with? A buyer, a seller, an investor? Give me a topic. At an open house, door knocking, making phone call.
Door knocking,
Door knocking, okay.
because you say that a lot. And
I
don't
know, I
what
was
it
trying to come up with
is.
something a little bit different. So door knocking, if I went in here, so you see how it says all types? There's also videos. So here you go, this one would be pretty cool. So back in December, a year ago, which it still would have, if it's only a year and a half ago, it's probably pretty similar to what you could do right now. Last year, we had to be more creative with COVID and everything, but this year, we're kind of back to where you can do, for the most part, the same things that you could do back in 2019. So how to make $1 million door knocking, and I will tell you, I have met many agents. Andrew Pepper is one who has done open houses were his bread and butter, and that included door knocking with his open houses. So he has done that, and he is a successful agent, but he will tell you he started his business, I want to say for the most part, a heavy part of it was because he did open houses and door knocking was part of it. I had an agent in a previous office that I was part of that he is, I want to say he has probably in sales, probably around $20 million in sales now. He's been in the business probably close to 6 years. And he started it totally door knocking. He door knocked, and it took a little while for him to have a couple of sales actually happen. And he was exclusively door knocking. But now at this point, so many years later, all of that started paying off. And he was really honest whenever he did a class or somebody talked about it, was this is what he did. And he would have, I think it was about 12 months later, he started having 2, 3, 4 listings going on at any given time because he had knocked on so many doors multiple times. And in here, you could go in and there might be a video on somebody doing a door knocking script. So how is it that they're communicating with somebody that is when they're door knocking? So that's something that you can look here. You can look on YouTube. Just be careful. Sometimes you'll get going down a rabbit hole. And in our communities, a lot of them, you're not able to solicit. So you have to be really careful.
Most of them, I feel like, right?
Most of them, not all of them. Not all of them. Where we were yesterday, in that general area, there are a few of those communities that do not have a thing on the a sign that says no soliciting. If there's no soliciting, if it's not on a sign as you enter a community, you can. And you may not be a person who that's what you want to do. Excuse me, it's also getting kind of hot. I'm not trying to say that, give you excuses, but I will say that if you want to do a really great open house and you have enough time and it's in an area that you can door knock even around that house, even if it's a neighboring community,
You mean to be telling them about the open house?
telling them about the open house. But really what you're doing, so
Yeah, I
the
feel like
script
I
is
would be
something.
comfortable with that.
So here's what the script is. So you're telling them about the open house, but let's say whether it was that community or a community next door, because if that community says that you can't solicit, then don't solicit in that community, go to the neighboring community, go to 3 communities over. And you can, and you have to know, you have to have thick skin. You're gonna have people that say, no, I'm not interested, or close the door, whatever they do, and that's fine. But the script is something like, I'm doing an open house down the road or the community next door in Mill Creek. And I'm sure just because it's a crazy market out there that I'm gonna have a lot of people that come through the doors. I'm looking for other houses that are about to go on the market. Are you or any of your neighbors going to be listing your home soon? So I told them about the open house, but my question is more about who do you know who's selling a house? Because it's always, from a business perspective, building your business towards listings is going to ride any type of market. It would be great to have, it's a whole lot easier to have a listing right now than having buyers. You're losing, I lost the contract, I wrote a contract on Saturday. I don't know if the Sunday people knew, I wrote a contract on Saturday, we didn't get it. We were giving them free rent until the end of the year, and we still didn't get it. Somebody offered more money. I'm assuming, and we were cash and free rent until December.
And overlisting,
Actually, we were right close to, but it would have been overlisting if you count the free rent.
free rent, yeah.
Yeah, because it's $2,500 or so for that type of a house. Yeah, and we still didn't get it. But again, I wasn't surprised, because I felt like we were probably 10,000 shy, but that was all that she was willing to spend. And I can respect that, because in all honesty, it shouldn't be much more than that. And she doesn't have to have a pool. It happened to have a pool. I was like, well, if we can get it, that would be great. But she was, anyway. So there are lots of places where you can find resources. So yes, should you be practicing with someone else? Definitely practice. Any of us can have, whether you're new or not, any of us can be that buyer or seller. I mean, we can practice and be that person. And then on the other side of it, as an agent, we're learning how to have those conversations. So stumble through them so that you do it over and over again. Go back to this. So we do want to sort of memorize. You may not memorize that script. However, you do have the ability to get comfortable with that script. So I'm now going to show you, we actually have some scripts, so you don't have to just come up with it. So if you were to go to, oh, I guess I probably should have stayed where I was. So in the system, so remember, I'm still in the KW Connect or KW University. If I go, oh, where did I go? Where am I? Okay. So I'm going to go back to my Ignite 2.0. Remember, there are two. There's the older Ignite that just says Ignite, and then there's the one that's 2.0. The one that we're going over now is all about, is the one 2.0. I go to my materials. If you look here, and you go to the bottom, this is the student side. You're more than welcome to go to the instructor side. It has basically the same information. The PowerPoint is about the only thing that's different. It's the main thing that's different. But we have this Ignite Toolkit. It is as a zip file. Oh, hello. That's not what I meant to do. Apologize. If I open up that zip file, it has the Ignite Toolkit, and within the Ignite Toolkit, there are 19 items. Within those 19 items, there are 2 script books. So we have, remember, what I go over in class, the in-person part, is the one that's called Spark. The elements are the things that go over that from a paperwork perspective on your off days in between here, just to make sure you're touching upon everything that's a little bit more of the self-study. But if you open up these script books, you will have scripts on all these different things. So I have scripts on listing presentations, pricing with sellers, seller objections, staging, buyers. There's all types of scripts. And when you get to the actual scripts, you have things like why me? Helping sellers see their listing through the eyes of a buyer. So, which is basically letting them know that your house has to be clean, all these other things, and what the buyers are going to be looking for. But there are all kinds of scripts that are in here. It is, how many pages is it? It's a lot of pages.
It's 27.
27 pages. Yeah, so there's a lot of pages that are in that. That's one of them. From a video perspective. So there's a lot that's in here, and then there's one more. So if you go back to the file has another script book. So you have the Ignite and the Spark script book that goes along with the documents that are in there. So please get comfortable with that toolkit. If you were to think of, you have a manual, you started a new job, this is all of the information that's within that manual. There is also the script book that goes along with it and all the items that are in the toolkit. The toolkit has things like checklists. We have an individual, as far as our office, a paperwork checklist, but it does have checklists for you have a buyer, you have a seller, all of these different things. We have a reminder if you are going to make phone calls to people that you do not know, you do have to check to see if they are on the do not call list. So we have a system in our office, and that system will allow you to look up whether or not they are on the do not call list. So you do, if you are going to start making phone calls to people that you do not know, you will have to check that part as well. But I talked about open houses. Perfect. So here is, I think might only be one of, there's a new listing and you're doing an open house. So that's something you can do. You can look for the door knocking. Oops. Oh, yeah, door knocking. So if you were to imagine you're door knocking and you say something like, good morning, I'm Susie South. I'm with Keller Williams Lakewood Ranch or Realty Select, and I wanted to take a moment to introduce myself. I'm walking through the neighborhood to pass around a little information to help everybody and to ask if you know anyone who's looking to move into the neighborhood that I may help. It's not overly pushy. It is a script. So get used to saying something like that. I do recommend practicing by reading over these scripts over and over again. If you read them 10 times, it's not a whole lot to read over 10 times. And then it then becomes, you've internalized it. So if you were to be driving around the neighborhood, walking the neighborhood, and you're able to say something like that. If you've never done this before and you're horrified with knocking on somebody's door, which is fine, many of us are, especially the first time that we do it, and maybe even from time to time, if you were to drive around, almost always there's going to be somebody walking the dog or outside doing something with their yard. Check in with them. It's a little less knocking on the door and interrupting them, and just talk to them. That's just ask them, how's the neighborhood? They're going to tell you stuff Most of the time it's gonna be pretty honest about what's going on in the neighborhood. The neighbor that came in with us yesterday, she came into the open house, she lived right next door. I did ask her, how's it going? What's going on in the neighborhood? I also asked her, whether or not you heard me ask this, it's like, do you know anybody that's looking to sell? She went through, she knew all the dog names, she didn't know the people's names, she knows all the dog names, like that's, Russell, or she just went through this house, and most of them were basically within the last year had moved. So if she were to say, yeah, so-and-so, something's happening in their lives, their kids are just graduating high school or something like that, and I know that they want to get a smaller house. Well, great. You could knock on their door. Or if that's something that is in a soliciting neighborhood, send them a note. Be as gracious as possible. You know what? I met a couple of neighbors. Don't point anybody out because then it becomes like awkward. But somebody mentioned that you might be looking at selling. I would love to talk to you about listing your house. Okay? So you kind of follow as far as what this can look like. Hilton, are you still with us, or are you? You are. You can say hey.
I'm here, thanks.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
actually just, I'm here while I'm listening to you. I'm actually just redoing my whole database. It's pretty time consuming. I'm just correcting everything from
See, I was
scratch
just
one.
testing to see if you were paying attention.
No, I'm listening.
I'll down on it. Oh. So I've talked a little bit about this already, but let's just do a refresher. You're going to read the scripts that are there. Just go with it. You don't have another script to go by, right? You're new. This is what you can use. Use this. Read it again. I go back to read it 10 times. Read it out loud 10 times is a good thing. So you're then able to. You're at the open house. You have you meet somebody that's outside walking the dog. On Saturday, as I was leaving, it was Saturday, I did check in. There was somebody that had a dog. It was a kid, but he was like a teenager enough, and I just asked him some basic questions. I was like, no, is looking to sell? To see, because a lot of times they'll tell you more things than an adult would probably tell you. But don't be weird about it. Just keep distance and all those other things. So read the script, repeat it. So in this instance, saying, read the second line of the script out loud 10 times while smiling. So the reason is, for the most part, is telling you, the first part of it is, I'm with Keller Williams. It's that type of thing. So it's always about the content. Recite the 2 sentences 10 times with a smile. Adding 1 sentence at a time, repeating it 10 times. It's all about the 10 times. So that, if you don't know and you're not grasping how to actually do it, this is one of the ways to do it. And it will allow you to have these conversations. Just about every conversation that I had with anybody was part of a script. Most of the time it was something, when it came to like the meat of asking them about houses and things that they like and what they're looking for. Those were pieces and sentences from scripts that I've had over and over again. And for the most part, there was an intention behind the question that I was asking. It was to help me have a better relationship with them, or to find out more. Well, all of it was to have a better relationship with them, but for me to find out more about how I could possibly help them. And that's at the end of it. That's what I was always looking for. How is it that I can help them? Sometimes, and probably a decent amount of the time, they're going to tell you what it is that they are looking for and they need. Now, sometimes they're doing that and they do have another agent. Well, sometimes people will say that they have an agent, they don't. That will happen. Sometimes they have an agent and they're already to the point, and we had this yesterday afternoon as well, that sometimes they have an agent that may not be servicing them as well as possible. I'm not looking for them I'm not saying anything about their agent not being good, but I may add layers to the conversation that identify maybe they should ask about doing blank. We had a conversation about VA loans. And it sounds like they're being pushed away from some properties because of them having a VA loan. And just be careful, you know, when you're talking to someone who may have an agent that's just not servicing them very well, it doesn't hurt for you just to be a resource to them and see where that goes. So in that instance, and I think I mentioned this to you guys, it was the neighbor, and the neighbor was saying how her son, was her son or her
It was
daughter?
her, well, it was her son-in-law, but they
Her
live
son-in-law.
with her, yeah.
Yeah, they live with her and they're having trouble because they have a VA loan. They will have a VA loan, and that they're not seeing a lot of properties because of homes not accepting VA loans. Well, as long as, if it's a home that could possibly pass through a VA inspection, they should be able to see that home. And so there was just a conversation about, you know, they may need to be a little bit more forceful with, well, I want to see this home. There's no reason why it wouldn't pass inspection. And also talk to a lender that can help them a little bit more if it is a home that may need some work, because there are possibly opportunities that they can, and different loan packages that they may be able to use. So we have ways to make things work sometimes that doors are shutting on buyers, especially right now. We're looking for how can we still help them. I want that person, a veteran, I mean, everyone, and yet I don't want them to be told no, 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 no. And a lot of veterans are being told, and also VHA loans as well, they're saying no, 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 no. It's like, there is a way. Got to find that way. And if we're solution oriented, we're probably going to have more clients just because of that. And that's taking care of the public. I'm a big fan of taking care of everybody, because it all comes back to us. Also, I want people to take care of me when I need it. You know, gotta do it both ways, or it just doesn't seem to work. So we're going to go over a script. So where we are with this, you guys went with the open house. Let's play a part. So who wants to play? I'll start picking people if nobody like signs up. You'll be the buyer or seller.
I'll do it.
Okay. Are you gonna be a buyer or seller? Or you tell me. We just did open houses, so this might be a little bit more of a conversation that you're more comfortable with.
I'll be the person coming in. So
Okay.
it will be a buyer or a seller or the real estate agent.
What do you want to be?
I want to be a buyer.
Okay. So you're gonna be a buyer. I'm gonna find out, and you
Okay.
just make something up, and it doesn't really matter. So you've come into the open house. You know, whether it could be those, because it'll set the mood. We've all been in the house from yesterday and Saturday. So you walked in. So, hi, my name is Susie South. I'm with Keller Williams.
Hi. I'm Corey.
Hi, Corey. I was just wondering, are you looking for a home for yourself?
I'm just looking around.
Looking around? Okay, well, be sure to check out the 5-car garage.
Okay.
She's gonna be that guy.
I will do that.
Totally gonna be that guy. I'm trying to feel her out a little bit. And when you get to the garage, the other thing about it is it will, and I'm not sure if you saw this online, it does have the ability to have boat or RV. Do you guys travel a lot?
No, we don't, because of my husband's business. We actually don't travel very often.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe an RV would actually help with that, because then you could work from the RV.
I don't think the garage actually is not my main focus.
Oh, okay. Well, what is your main focus?
I am a huge crafter, so I need an extra room to craft.
An extra room. So when it comes to an extra room, does it have to be a bedroom, or could it just be additional space?
Additional space is actually better. I need not so much window, so I can put cabinets for my crafting.
What kind of crafting do you do?
I make jewelry.
Okay. Jewelry for pets, for iguanas?
Yes.
See, I told you, right? But you see, there is like a little bit of like a lightness because we're practicing. So just to stop for a second, I asked her specifically, anybody know why I asked, does it need to be a bedroom or just extra space?
Because you've got that space upstairs, that open space.
Do. And when a person tells someone, okay, hold that thought for just a second. So how many bedrooms do you guys need? Forget that we had that conversation about that extra
Okay.
space.
I'm looking to have ideally 3 bedrooms. I've got kids, but they're grown, but, you know, ideally 3 bedrooms.
Ideally
for-
3.
For guest reasons.
Okay, so if there was to be a home, what about if there was a home that was 4 bedrooms? Would that be even better or maybe unnecessary?
It would be unnecessary, but I would look. Yeah.
You would?
I wouldn't go to 2, because what if both my kids want to come for Christmas?
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah.
And how about bathrooms?
The more the better.
The more the better. So like 1 for each bedroom?
That would be fantastic.
That would be great. And it has a pool, so maybe even an extra bath or a half bath?
Yeah, actually, I'm very particular about pool bath, because of slipperiness with the tile in the pool bath.
Okay, so it's not a plus for you to have a pool bath.
Yeah.
Not necessarily, 'cause you want- okay.
Because kids
Okay.
running in with the tile.
They
not
do.
good.
Yeah. Well, there are some things that maybe you could put on the floor, but I'll keep that in mind. So now we're gonna go back as if we did have a little bit of that conversation about the jewelry for the iguanas. And for that craft space, so the 3 bedrooms, guests, and you mentioned about that. And I know I'm asking you a lot of questions, but I'll tell you why I'm asking those questions. One of the things that I do when I am working with a buyer is I like to know what it is that they're looking for, because there's a lot of houses that are on the market. And then in a market like we have right now, there's actually not as many as we are accustomed to. But I am knocking on doors and doing a lot of advertising. I even, mail letters, if that's what you're gonna do, mail letters. And I do some social media advertising, because there are people that are just wanting to sell, but they're maybe waiting. And if it's okay with you, I would love to be able to help you out, because I am gonna be knocking on some doors this afternoon.
Okay.
You look like you're about to say
I'm gonna
something.
set you up here.
Okay.
Okay, from something that you told me. Well, I'm a big Zillow. I'm on Zillow. I
You
hold
are.
up through Zillow.
Oh, tell me what you love about Zillow.
I don't have to get into my car. I can just look at the pictures and not have to go through so many houses and then narrow down my search.
That I don't blame you when it comes to time. I mean, our time is very important to us. Have you ever been on Zillow and seen something that didn't look quite right, or maybe was a for sale by owner, or maybe it really wasn't for sale and the property sold like 2 years ago? So you're seeing old information.
I didn't know that could happen.
Well, let me explain to you something when it comes to Zillow. This is the script. So with Zillow does not verify information. I'm not sure if you knew that.
No, I did not.
So you're actually looking on a website that has and could have, and I've heard stories about this. I can't say that I've seen this myself personally. However, where, sometimes a neighbor doesn't like the other neighbor. And there have been times when a neighbor has put their other neighbor that they don't like, their house on the market, and Zillow lets that happen. And you know what makes it worse? I've even heard stories to where they make it that they list it on Zillow, the neighbor that they don't like, for a very, very low price, $500,000 house, selling it for $250,000, and then they do an open house, which is not really an open house. So you have 30 people knocking on your door on a Sunday afternoon because the neighbor didn't like you. Now I'm telling you that because we as real estate agents are very frequently just answering questions about homes that are not even listed. So while I don't blame you, Zillow has a lot of great pictures and you're seeing a lot of information, I just want you to be cautious about it because it may be inaccurate.
I was not aware of that.
Yeah, they don't kind of tell you that on the first page.
So how do I go about if I want you to send me things? Does that tie me up with you?
Okay, so for the most part, most people don't ask, how do I work with you?
They don't?
You don't get a lot now, but I'll take it. If they do, it's like, okay. Well, this is the way that I work. If I'm gonna knock on doors, I wanna know that I'm knocking on doors for someone. So it's important for me to make sure that you and I have agreed that you are gonna work with me. Now, we're not gonna have this particular conversation in this class, but there is something called a exclusive buyer's agreement. So they're agreeing to work with you, but it's a little bit of a longer conversation. So I'm gonna hold that to the side. So I mentioned that I am going to be door knocking tomorrow and also doing some social media that costs a little bit of money on my side. So I just do want to know from you that you're not working with any other agents. Is there anyone else that you know that's going to be knocking on doors to find you that perfect house? That's a script.
No.
Okay, probably not, because a lot of us don't like doing it, but I actually like helping the people that I'm working with. So therefore I power through and I just do it.
Sounds good.
Okay. So you mentioned about the iguana jewelry and the 3 bedrooms. Is there anything else about the house that is important to you?
Well, I know I've looked around this house and I can tell you it's not going to work for me because I need, the upstairs space is really amazing, but I need more wall space for my cabinets.
Okay.
But I would love if you could find me something with this kind of counter space and.
So the kitchen
really
is a
like the
plus.
kitchen. Yeah.
Kitchen is plus, the 3
The
bedrooms are a plus.
Garage is not important to me.
Okay.
And
What if it was a garage that was air conditioned for all the cabinets, or like a workroom?
yeah, it's if there was another building, like a pool house where I could do my
Yeah.
crafting and then I wouldn't have my husband ask me when dinner was, that would be even better.
We can see if it's like, it could be soundproofed, right?
Yeah.
I didn't hear you. Okay. So I'll stop it here because I think you're seeing what I'm going. So I was asking what else I could do for them. Oh, actually, I'm gonna do. I'm sorry.
You did a great job with that.
Oh, yeah. I am gonna ask, actually, we are gonna go back to it. So with all of that, you told me a lot about the inside of the house. So if you were to be driving into a community or a neighborhood that you had just bought a home, can you tell me a little bit about what that would possibly look like?
Okay, so ideally I would like it to not look cookie cutter,
That's why I asked that
But-
question.
but if I was not going to have a pool at the house and it had great amenities, I would be willing to look at a cookie cutter that I could make into my own.
Okay,
Otherwise, I
okay.
would be willing.
Now, cookie cutter sometimes will have an HOA. Is there an amount that you're familiar, or do you even know what the HOA fees are around this area?
My mom pays HOA, my sister does, so I sort of know what they're getting for their HOAs. So
Yeah,
it
most
would
of them-
be- Yeah.
Most of the time, if it is a type of community that has amenities, probably gonna be 100 plus. More times than not, probably closer to 200 plus. But I just wanted to make sure that you were definitely aware with that,
Yeah, that would just have to depend on what the amenities were.
what the amenities were. And pool, if you don't have a pool, would be important.
Yes.
Okay.
If I didn't have a pool at the house.
Do you do any other sports or activities at the amenities? Sometimes they'll have like pickleball and all those other things.
I do, I play tennis.
You play tennis. So what if it had a tennis court?
That would be wonderful. And I would not want a golf course because I don't want to pay the fees because I don't play golf.
Well, yeah, you want to pay fees for someone else to play golf. Okay, but tennis would be a plus.
Tennis would be a plus.
Or tennis courts close by would be a plus.
In
In the community would be extra special. Okay, all right. So those are the types of things. So I found out quite a bit, and I personally like, and I learned that from someone else, and the script is, I don't think that the script is in Ignite, but asking them, they're driving through the community, what does it look like?
Yeah, I like that.
So they have, so this goes back to sales techniques. They have told me things that they went into their brain, and I'm touching their heart in essence, because I now have, there is a vision of the house that they're looking for. And if I could have them show up and show them a house that they drive into the community, that it has what she has said, I have already connected with her on that level because that's what she wants. Most agents do not ask that question. They ask about the inside of the house, not about the outside of the house.
Mhm.
So that is a really good one. Now you can ask that in a variety of different ways. We were fortunate in a neighborhood that's really, really different. So basically by talking about the neighborhood that was so different, it was already saying whether or not that was something that they liked or not. They were like, I love the fact that everything is different. So they've told me that story. I didn't need to ask that question or other questions to ask. The other thing about asking them for that additional space, the reason that I ask that is you're gonna have people that are looking for additional space, but they don't need it as a bedroom. And so they will, on Zillow, find houses that have a loft or a den or something else, and they love that house, and you haven't shown them that house, or you didn't email them that house, and they find it on their own, you're not doing your job. They're doing it for you, and they start to resent, well, why aren't you sending this to me? Well, you told me 3 bedrooms. You didn't tell me anything about extra space.
An office.
Yeah.
Right.
But that's where you get to ask those types of questions. She was very quick the garage meant nothing to her. So I went in that direction. It didn't help. She was a little bit colder at the beginning. And yet I think that we got better as we went along. And so I stopped talking about the garage. She didn't care about the garage. The garage meant nothing to her. So I found the other stuff. And ideally you'll find some stuff that you can then talk to, and it'll help. So that's why you ask certain questions, because when we fill out our little form, and you all got the email that I sent you that had a buyer's questionnaire, if it becomes an interrogation, then there is no warmth, there is no communication that you're having, there is no relationship that you're building with them. If you have found out the other stuff, then you're going to be further along. So I hope that was, from a time perspective, I just wanted to kind of go through that. So you guys want to do scripts in the future? We can put together a script group. You could possibly do the people that are here. You've all been here. You want to do a script group? Poor Charlie is not. It's like, I don't have email. I passed my test at 5 o'clock on Friday. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So when do we want to do it? Have you not learned this yet? It's like I get you to agree. Now when are we going to do it? It's a script, by the way. When are you going to do it?
Right.
You guys want to do it tomorrow? Would you be able to do it tomorrow? 30 minutes. I don't know.
What about after our night class?
On Wednesday?
On when? Oh, I'm meeting with Samantha then,
Samantha on Wednesday?
on Wednesday.
Right after?
Meeting with Samantha, I think it's.
So maybe take a half hour. Well, if it's right out, is it right after?
I believe it is, because I think there's another class after
There's
that.
that team meeting in here on Wednesday.
There's what?
A team meeting.
There is at 11. Oh, that's true. Okay, so after the team meeting. So
Yeah.
maybe that. Okay, so tentatively 12 o'clock,
12 o'clock. So Wednesday, you said?
Wednesday, 12. I'm saying this, you guys are actually going to lead this. I'm not part of it. I'll supply, I'm not.
Will you supply scripts?
You're
or
going
should we
to have
bring
to
our
do things
scripts?
without me. It's better for you and you'll learn more as you do things. So 12 on Wednesday?
So you mean this will just be us?
It'll just be you guys, but I'm going to give you scripts that you can practice.
Okay.
Oh, you know what? No, that's building your magazine. So maybe Wednesday is
That's,
It's
I'm
not the
trying to
best.
think Wednesdays,
Yeah.
because I think I
Building your-
went with Samantha just because I had something after that.
after that.
Yeah, I think I do.
So I'll go back to tomorrow is not a possibility?
I know that tomorrow's not.
Okay.
I have.
So let's put a pin in that at the moment and we'll work on it after this. But let's make sure that you do that. And it truly is, just have a group of people. And if you can do it 3 days a week, that would be ideal. They do have a recommendation like an 8:30 in the morning. And it can be by call. It can be a call that you actually do, or by Zoom, or you can do it here. Any of those things are okay. A lot of people do it by phone because you're just able to get through more than physically meeting. And be purposeful, just go over scripts. Okay, I'm gonna be the real estate agent for, I'll be the real estate agent first. Great, spend 5 minutes, just power through and then continue and another person practice. It's not about having a 30-minute conversation. Power through some of the main things. The goal is to have them say, yes, would you please help me with finding a home or listing my home or any of, that's the goal. So have that conversation, not about the blue skies, I love this, because you can kind of get into much longer conversation. It's about the meat of the conversation. Bless you.
Thank you.
The niceties you'll do, but I'm gonna hope that we all can do that. So let's get past that and get to the meat of it. Like, okay, looked around, is there anything, what is it that you're looking for in a home? Get into that. Okay? So. We just did that. Oh, I'm ahead of the game. So for the, I got a little bit, I think I went a little bit fast. So let's talk about let me bring up the scripts. Let me do that. What kind of lead generating are you guys going to be doing in the next week? It's Monday. What are your thoughts? Tell us more, Charlie.
Well, yeah, since I'm not even with Keller Williams yet, but the first thing I need to do for me is to get my social media under control.
Okay.
Get off the old stuff, get on the new stuff, and
Which we still do old stuff. We continue to do old stuff, and yet, yes.
That's gotta be cleaned up a little anyway.
There's scale. It's scalable.
What do you mean old stuff?
I think.
Well, there's, I've got, anything that, that I've spoken to my friends about that might be slightly
Oh, I see what
controversial
you're
in
saying,
any
yeah.
way.
Yeah, go do that. Okay, that's not what I thought you were talking about. So yes, please do that. And then the second thing, what I actually thought, and I should not have assumed this, was thinking is 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 5 years ago, when it comes to sales, we would do things a little bit differently. That's actually what I was thinking that you were more referring to.
Also I've got to think about my LinkedIn is a very wide, international
Oh, nice.
page. So
We sell houses. People live in houses in
Yeah.
other countries.
yeah, so
It's a thing.
I've got more on my LinkedIn to work on. I was just making notes of, some people that I should add, in that I'm, actually some realtors in Chicago area that I know.
Oh, yeah.
Get the rest of my golf group that I haven't friended yet. Some new people in my neighborhood that have recently moved in, I need to get on there and make sure I've got, I got a high school reunion coming up, make sure I've got all those people in there. Since
Yeah.
they're,
And you'll need a script for everybody that you see at the reunion.
since they're getting to be retirement age now and they'll be moving to Florida.
That's right. Where'd you go to high school? Or whatever reunion?
It's Chicago area.
In Chicago, okay. Because I knew you were there. I didn't know. You lived in any other states?
No,
No, okay.
that's it.
That's it. That's okay.
Yeah.
That's a good place. I like Chicago. Not during windy times. I've gotten stuck there every single time on the
Oh, yeah,
tarmac.
that was, I traveled for a living pretty much,
Oh.
doing outside sales, and O'Hare was my main airport that I used every week. Just think about going to O'Hare every week for 20 years.
No, like I said, but I do like Chicago. I do like Chicago a lot, but those are the two, I think I've been there twice. But I did, I sat on the tarmac. There was one time I was like on the tarmac for like 2 hours
Yeah.
because of the wind. I know, that was painful, very painful. So, okay, so you've got a bit of a game plan, and yet how to organize that, yes, I'll work with you and make sure that we get that part put together in a systematic way. What other things are we doing as far as lead generate? How can we have conversations with people this week?
Well, I was gonna focus on getting the social media stuff set up,
Mhm.
because once it's set up, I feel like I can just every day, do something
Sure.
towards that, even if I'm gonna be getting out doing things, I want that to be set up.
Okay,
So I wanted to set up like a business one for my Facebook and then a business for my Instagram.
Perfect.
And I've also been requesting a lot of different realtors in the area and all that stuff on there.
Oh, good.
Because I noticed when you do the hashtag Lakewood Ranch, you can see a lot of that on there.
So
So I did want to get that set up.
You use Instagram too.
You need to get
I've
on
got one
Instagram.
and I never use it.
Because you
So
can
figure
tag
it
so
out.
much
You're
of
gonna
that.
need to use it. We are in a very picturesque area. Utilize it.
Like
And people
literally, if you
live-
just put the hashtag Lakewood Ranch, so much stuff comes up and you can meet.
And
new people that
LWR.
way. Yeah.
Both of them. Correct. So what she just said, those are things that you need to
Yeah, I'll need
look
some
at. Just
help
start
with
it.
that.
It's one step at a time. It's not, you can't eat the apple all
Yeah.
at one time, but one step at a time to start feeding that is important. Okay, so is that what you're going to work
Well,
on?
to get that all organized and going, and then I also want to get out.
Okay, so that'll be this afternoon. What are you doing tomorrow?
Hopefully getting out there, and I can't wait to get my business cards.
Okay, well, we should have those very, very quickly. So where are we going to go? I'm asking you this because I want you to have a cut and dry plan. What do we need to have done? So he was pretty clear. He has things that are coming up. He wants to make sure that he has his database in order. And yes, that's not going to be this afternoon. However, that is a process that you could definitely heavily be working on it this week. And that's okay. If your database needs to be worked on, then let's do that, because you're nothing without those leads. You're nothing without a database. So you have a bit of a plan on where you're going. Is there a place that you're going to go?
Well, I do need to work on my database also.
Okay. So the database that you have, do you have people that are in your database that you can either be physically in front of, or you can somehow communicate with them? Ask a group of people from dance or volleyball. Is it volleyball?
I even have some friends that are business owners. and stuff.
Business owners. Have lunch with some business
My
owners
friend
or
in
coffee.
Venice- Yeah, my friend in Venice, they're owners of all the Michelangelos. Yeah, so.
We like
she-
them.
And she says she meets realtors and all that every day.
Yeah, but she doesn't.
Right.
Yes, you.
But so I was thinking about,
Yeah.
going that route.
They see us once a week. Well, we pick it up. We don't tend to eat there. It's one of our pickup restaurants. Okay, so you're gonna meet with business owners. Is that what I'm hearing?
I'd like to do
That's
that.
kind of what I'm telling you.
Yeah.
That's what you're doing?
I'm doing it.
All right, all right. So good, that's your plan.
Yeah.
Because the more people that you talk to, there's someone that is going to say something like, either they or someone that they know could utilize your help.
Yeah.
We just have to meet enough people. So
And
keep
there's
meeting
also a
people.
woman I know, she's a financial advisor, and she's constantly
Oh, yeah.
networking, all these different networking events, so I did want to get in contact with her too.
So ask her if you can tag along with her.
Yeah.
It's a friend of yours, right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Yeah, say, can I be your sidekick? Because you do it, you're doing it well. Can I learn from you? Can I help you?
Yeah.
How can we work together from time to time? Okay.
Yeah,
What's your
okay,
thing?
so last weekend, I went to the places that I always go. I went to the butcher, I went to a couple of the shop owners for the clothing stores, and they hadn't seen me in a while because I've just been so busy with my dad. I just let them know, listen, I'm really getting this business going and I'm so excited, and how is everything with your family? How's business been going? Just touching base with them.
Yeah.
And I acted like I left my business cards at home because I didn't want
Okay.
to make it like I was brand new and didn't have business cards.
Oh, okay.
And so
So it's
I
like, this is
told
what I've been
them-
doing.
Yeah, and I was like, you know what? I don't have a business card with me right now, but next time around in this area, I'll drop off one of my business cards.
And you have their
And-
information because you were walking into their business.
Well, and I have a relationship with
You have a
most of these
relationship.
people. They came
know
up
your
and hugged me.
family.
Yeah, my mom was with me, and my mom's like, how do you have shop owners just hugging you? I was like, oh, they haven't seen me in a month.
I was like,
I like to talk to people.
I was like, when the shop owner hasn't seen you, there is a good reason. Usually.
Her daughter's name's Samantha too. She's going
Aw.
to, I just talk to people.
Right.
But, and then I have been working on my, friending more people on Facebook, because I do have a very small Facebook, but I need to work on my social media because I'm setting up my business Facebook and Instagram I'd set up, but I need to really go more into it a little bit.
Start following some of the hashtags like we
And
were
I'm,
just talking
and
about.
I'm messaging 5 at a time, my people on my Facebook page, letting
Excellent.
them know, listen, I'm working on my database right now. It's my personal database. It's not going to be shared like Zillow is shared. And I put that in and
Good.
I say, I'm not gonna, hound you with emails and everything, but I would love to make sure I have everything up to date with you,
Good.
your email, your phone number.
Very good.
And so I'm continuing that. And then the new thing I'm gonna do this weekend is I'm gonna go look at the new developments around my area
Mhm.
and maybe take some
Pictures.
pictures and put those up on my
Social media.
Instagram, social media to just say, look at this new neighborhood that is going up and
When you're at new builders, ask them what their process is right now. Do they have lots that are being released on the weekly basis? I'm seeing that they're having some inventory homes come on. So you can get on their mailing list for being an agent. You can do it by going onto their websites for the different builders that you can get their info.
I'm just gonna take note.
But you can also go to, so in Lakewood Ranch, go to the Welcome Center. Or you can call them or you can email them and make sure that they're sending you info.
I think for me, I'm gonna try to concentrate more in my area.
Oh yeah, you could go to, well,
Just
go to the
because
builders in Palmer Ranch.
Yeah.
But a lot of the builders are doing both Palmer Ranch. Yeah, they're so close. So that wouldn't hurt they're gonna know for the most part.
Plus, I wanna look at other esplanades because so many people
There-
are saying, oh, we wanna be in your neighborhood, but it's sold out. So I wanna be able to say, have you looked at this esplanade? Why don't I take you there and we can
Yes.
look at this one?
And there will be buyers, especially if they know enough about the general area that they're similar buyers to Lakewood Ranch. They're different. I mean, as far as the area is slightly different, well, it's very different. However, if it's somebody that hasn't ever lived there, they may be considering Palmer Ranch or Lakewood Ranch.
Yeah.
A lot of
No.
times they look at both.
Well,
I
because
looked
it's
at
when I first moved here, I heard
You
about
looked-
it too.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
And
looked
this
at
was
both.
more for,
Yeah.
is Lakewood Ranch more though for younger families, with younger kids or no?
I wouldn't say that. It's
Yeah.
I
newer.
wasn't sure, yeah.
It has more newer
And it has
houses.
things that are coming up, like Lakewood Ranch is growing. It's where,
Well, it's larger.
yeah.
It's one of the things. But there's more new homes coming on the market than Palmer Ranch. Palmer Ranch has been around a little bit longer.
But you said as far as the welcome center to make sure we get on their,
Oh, their realtor list that
Realtor.
you'll get their info. And that way you'll stay up to date. And the same thing with the individual builders, which I'm just adding more emails to your inbox, so I'm sure you're gonna love me for that. But that's how you start to know of new releases and new models and inventory homes and all of this stuff just feeds the conversations that you're having with people. Because when you know, oh, I'm not sure if you saw that they're breaking ground for a new community, it's another talking point for the people that you're working with.
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys have that. What are you doing, Maddie?
Well, so I said last weekend I was going to send out at least 10 letters, and then I realized I don't have my cards.
Oh.
So I wrote the letters.
Okay.
I'm gonna have them all printed, ready to go, and then once I get my cards, I'm gonna
Okay,
like sneak them in.
you might get the cards like today or tomorrow.
Yeah, I'd asked Nicole, she said, they are running a little bit behind, but she'll let me know.
They were, yeah,
Um,
they were. I found that out when I was like, Nicole, what's up with the cards? She was like, they're running behind. I was like, I didn't know that.
Who are you sending the letters to?
Well,
Oh,
I had a previous shopping business, so I have other clients I shopped for like during COVID and everything. So I have regulars that I'm gonna send them more personal letters, like, hey, I've been shopping for you, this is why I haven't been shopping for you, because I'm getting my real estate business up and running. So yeah, if you reach out, like, cause some of them I only have their phone number, some of them I don't even have their phone number, I only have their address, just cause like the systems were kind of, it's like depends, but, so I'm gonna send it to like my clients, both my personal clients and also ones like that I didn't talk to as frequently, and just let them know like, hey, you see my face, this is what I'm doing now. So I'm gonna send letters out to all those people, and then I also want to get my social media up and running. I have one, I did my intro posts like before Memorial Day. I haven't posted anything since because it's been so crazy. So I want to do more like previewing of homes. And so mini question with that. So if I were to post something like pictures of a home that I was seeing, and I asked the listing agent, hey, can I publish photos for this? Do I have to say like previewing or can I say showing? Because I feel like showing more implies that like you're showing it for
That you're with
buyer.
someone.
So can I say that if I'm really just previewing it?
I would not say something that you're not doing.
Yeah.
I feel like that's grammatically incorrect. However, yeah, so we don't lie. So you're not showing it to someone. However, you are virtually doing something. If you're doing a video, or I would say more from a video perspective, that I wanted to show everyone the new model in blank community, and I would leave it like that. I would definitely do that. Then yes, you should be previewing homes. So preview. Now preview, a lot of people are going to think of you're previewing for a client, but it doesn't necessarily mean that. You're previewing because you like to know what's going on in the inventory. So I'm checking out this community. All of those kinds of words, just be careful. Don't be misleading to people because we're not doing that. But if you're out and about, you're showing up as a real estate agent that knows the area, because 1 month from now, if they've seen like 4 or 5 different things that you're out, we can't be just real estate. Or it can't be just like the front of a house and just I'm doing an open house. It needs to be a little bit more interesting than that. But when you do that, you're then going to start to show up to the people that are seeing it, that 2 months from now, 3 months from now, it's like, yeah, you're a busy real estate agent. Like, yeah, I'm busy, but let's say by then you have 2 or 3 clients, but in their mind, you're way past that. And so that happens quickly. So let's get to that quickly. You have shown houses.
Yeah.
You have shown a house. You have shown houses because you did the open house.
Yes.
You've shown houses,
Plural.
plural, to many buyers.
Yeah.
The many buyers that you've been having conversations with.
There's a way too to take it off of what you're doing, so you don't have to even say what you're doing. It's more of, look at this fantastic house I saw this weekend. I can find something with a kitchen just like this if tell me what you need. Put it onto talk more about them and what you can do for
It's
them
like the
and what
80-20.
you're doing. Yeah, because you're not gonna sell them that house, because that house is gonna be sold before you put it up.
Correct.
So it's
Correct.
not really that house that you're trying to sell.
But
Anyway,
if 8 out of 10 of the things that you're having conversations with people about, people that you know, or from a social media perspective, if 8 out of 10 of the things are less about you being a real estate agent, like blatantly that, then you're going to have the trust that people will continue to follow you and not unfollow you and those types of things. Like, it is okay. We want sprinkling in a little bit of our business is how it's done. And to her point, we are fortunate that we're in a business that's very simple to sprinkle that in without it being anything about us being a real estate agent. You're in a kitchen, you saw this like really cool tile, the pool, there's the swing from yesterday, which I'm kicking myself that we should have had a couple of pictures of you guys on swings, because not in a, not in.
no, it's like nice, yeah.
Yeah, it was just beautiful in those types of ways. So that type of social media traditionally for the masses will work, because it's not only about look at me, which is the part that people shy away from. The look at me doesn't work. Once in a while that you're proud that you did something, that you're excited that something happened that has to do with your business, those are okay. It has to be sprinkled in. Is there anything you guys want to add? We all have different experiences with social media too, so.
I have a senior moment thing just to put out there. I need to ask you afterwards how to put that thing, like on all your emails, everything, you've got that thing on the bottom of your
Oh,
page.
yeah.
How funny, I just
I
asked
need
if
to know
Nicole
how to
could
do
help.
that. I need
It's-
to get one and
Okay.
figure out how to do that.
We can do
So
that,
after
so.
class, I don't want to scroll now, I'm
So
Bring
with
out
those-
the logo with her picture.
yes, and all the correct, because I know you're supposed to put Keller Williams, Realty Select
Mhm.
on there and stuff like that, so I just want to make sure it's done right and but how do I do it?
Or
So
like
we
what
can do
you're-
it for you.
Okay.
Is one thing. And to that, as far as from a topic perspective, as far as the office, here's what works really well for us, and I don't want it to be that, you know, that you have to conform to us, because we want to make sure that you're taken care of. Things like that, send us an email, say, I'd like to get my email, that type of thing.
Okay.
Yeah, do that. You're gonna have questions. You guys are all newer, very new. And you're gonna have lots of questions, and we're gonna be able to help. It is unrealistic for me or us as an office to think that we're gonna be able to hand you a list, which we did. You got a handbook, and it has all the items for you to go through. It is unrealistic for me or the office to think that it's gonna be a perfect order. It's like, oh, check, I just did that. It's not that type of an occupation, unfortunately. But you are gonna be doing something, and then we're all gonna squirrel a little bit because it's like, oh, this video popped up that told me all about how important it is to do blank. Well, that's number 20, and I'm only on number 4 of my list. So we go all, yeah, it's very much from a weaving all over the place kind of thing. But we do want to get the things that Scott Leroy does, the things that Samantha does, the things that I do and all that. And a lot of this is just a whoosh on top of you for 2 months.
Yeah.
So thank you. I'm sorry. And I can't do a whole lot about it being a little bombarded, but
But
things
that's not
like that,
something
when
I
you
should
see
have
it-
had to figure out. Like,
well, as Scott Leroy Marketing does a lot of those types of things as far as like showing you how to do things. But we are fortunate that we do have things in the office that will allow us to do some stuff for you. We'd love to show you how to do things, but I'll be honest, some stuff is like, why spend the 10 minutes doing that? I'd rather you go make a phone call or meet somebody for coffee, those types of things, because that's what's going to generate the income for you.
So you're talking about this thing here, right?
yeah. And Nicole has it too, like,
Yeah, we all do.
so it's been in the back of my brain to say to you, how do I get that?
We'll get it for you.
I looked on the signatures on command and they only have 2 and like none of them look like that. So I
They
was
don't,
thinking the
it's a
same thing.
little bit of a, so there's another system that we kind of have ours, and we just happen to have all been with a company long enough that we have that type of a signature, and we just kind of did it. Like I asked, can somebody do that for me? I was like, okay. And I know how to do them, but I go back to my time should be helping you put together a contract. And the same thing, I want you guys, every day when you're doing your real estate job, how much of this can be that I'm interacting with somebody? Because that's what's going to generate your business.
Right.
Those other things, many of them that we can do, and we still want you to learn how to do it. But if I can get you to where you're working with a client quickly, it's going to push you to learn so much faster. And that's where, and it is, you're always getting tugged. It's like, oh, but I need to learn how to do this. Okay. Yes, and yes. And
But getting in front of a client is.
getting in front of the client is always the most important. What can I do today? I gotta get up, brush my hair, move forward and get in front of someone if I can. And if it's a day that getting in front of someone may not be what you're doing, then how can I do something virtually, or go for a walk with the dog and meet 2 or 3 people around the neighborhood, or 10, depending on your neighborhood. What can you do? And how can I get in front of people, and how can I have conversations with others?
And then is there some type of class that, like, say we do get our own listing, it shows us how to get it on the website and all that stuff?
We will go through, yes, there's 2 classes. So there's the getting the listing. So some of it you're learning. We've been a little bit more on the buyer focus. There are 2 more classes that are going to be one of them specifically for how do I get sellers. So yes, we have that. And also from a paperwork and a system perspective, the system perspective, we have these Thursday technology classes that are on the calendar that we will make sure that you're learning the system more and more. How to do like the flyer when you have a listing, how do you do that? The MLS has classes, whether they're virtually or in person, to how to search for homes, how to put listings into the system. I don't know if you've done any of those yet.
I'm about to.
You're about to. Okay, so that's gonna learn, you're gonna learn a lot with that. And you're learning a lot and you're only gonna retain some of it. We know that. And then you just have to keep doing it. So think of yourself whenever you're learning how to do something with our systems, how can I create as if I'm my own client? So imagine that you are buying a house, or if you have somebody, fortunately, you're kind of working with somebody to send them things, send yourself things, create things in these systems, whether it's emails that go out through our Keller Williams command system, emails that go out through the MLS system, so that you start to learn how those look on the other side, and then treat yourself, list your own house, pretend like you're listing your own house as you learn how to do the paperwork and things like that. And that is then your sample. You're going to go through the classes, so they're going to give you a lot of notes to take and some examples of what that should look like. But the way to actually practice is to turn it into, whether it's a friend of yours, you use them as your example, or yourself. List a house. It's not going to do anything. You're not going to get a commission check just because you were playing in the system and listing a house. We've done that a long time ago if that worked. But you do want to learn all of the processes.
So when we do list a house, does it go on the main Keller Williams site where you browse for homes and it all goes on there?
Oh yeah. Yeah. So you're going to see all that. Okay, guys. So you learned a lot today. I think there were extra things that were within. You had some of this information because we did our open houses yesterday, which was great, at least for you guys that are here. And continue with that, review some of the other materials, make sure you're checking off things that are within the papers that I gave you for the class as well. And then I'll see you on Wednesday and or before. And I do have today, I have the marketing. So that's at 3:00 today. It's on Zoom, or if you're here and the room is free or a conference room, I will do it in person as well. But for the most part, it's a Zoom call.
Oh, it is?
Is it first of all, I have it from 3 to 3:30.
It is. So it's a happy.
Yeah.
So I have it on the calendar as a half an hour.
Okay.
Because this is that tidbit. This isn't a full-on class on how to make marketing materials.
Mhm.
It is a class that, well, I say it's a class, it's more of just like a workshop for me to show you these little pieces. And if somebody comes to it, I will ask, this is new that we've been doing it as this particular format. If you come and I'll ask, and it's like, does anybody have anything specific? Because I have a list of things that I want to make sure I'm going through. But if you come and you're like, well, I am going to be going to my reunion or something like that, and I want to post some things on social media, then we would handle that. Or I'm going to knock on doors. I'm going to visit 30 businesses in the next, this week. And so I want to have like a flyer of some sort. It could be that. So if you were come to me and say, this is something I'm going to do, is there something you can show me, then I can maybe tailor it to that. It's a bit of an open forum, but I do have 10 things that I'm always working on those to get you through learning these 10 items. There's more than that, but there's 10 bulk items that I want you guys to know when it comes to marketing.
So it says the link is in the sidebar, that's how we would get onto the Zoom?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Okay, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.